classic is a book that has never finished saying what it has to say. Italo Calvino. So I think in our lifetime most of us have been intimidated by one classic or another. When we talk about the classics, we're generally talking about literature from the 19th century all the way back to antiquity, and that's thousands of years of literature to choose from. But thanks to this immense period of time, classics don't just designate a genre, they cover a wealth of literature from hundreds and thousands of years from across the genres. Because of this, I'm pretty certain that no matter what your contemporary tastes are, there's a classic out there for you too. So these are my classic recommendations for the modern reader. Whether you've just been too intimidated to get your feet stuck in, or have had a bad experience at high school, or are even already a classics fan and just looking for your next read. Let's have a look at the books, shall we? Now, given the popularity of the Hunger Games, I'm pretty sure there's a few dystopian fans watching now. So if you like disturbing pictures of the future, then I have to recommend to you H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. Now, this classic sci-fi novel takes place 800,000 years in the future, where our protagonist discovers the unfortunate future of the human race and what we have become. An interesting examination of human nature and one of the pivotal books in future speculation. From dystopian futures to magical world, I know there are quite a few Lord of the Rings fans out there. If you enjoy fantastical journeys where mythical and magical beasts are encountered, groups are torn apart and destinations never quite seem to be reached, and if you're sitting there thinking the Lord of the Rings is kind of a classic in itself, well, I've got something quite a bit earlier for you, and that is the ancient Greek epic Homer's Odyssey. In this classic adventure tale, the Greek hero Odysseus on his return from war meets a multitude of different mythical characters and creatures that waylay him on his travels home. But if you like your fantasy a little less long-winded and epic, then there's always the classic fairy tales, whether it be the Grimm's brothers, Hans Christian Andersen, or a compilation of the best. Then what is more classic fantasy than stories of fairies and witches that Disney got so terribly wrong? But if you'll allow me to return to reality for a moment, I've got something for the romance fans. Whether you love your romantic comedies like Bridget Jones, or something a little bit more serious, then Jane Austen has a book for you. Now, there's a reason Jane Austen is so popular, and that's because her stories still resonate with people today. For those looking for a little bit more of a comical fix, there's Emma and Northanger Abbey. Northanger Abbey is a slight parody on the gothic novel genre that was popular when Jane Austen was writing this story, whereas Emma is about a pushy matchmaker who can't see love right in front of her. And for the more serious romantics in the house, there is Sense and Sensibility. Two sisters, one who follows her gut and the other who's reliably sensible, both navigating the murky waters of romance and heartbreak. But the next recommendations I have are for the fans of something a little bit darker. First up is for those who enjoy a bit of a psychological thriller or a study on a dark character like American Psycho or even the TV show Dexter. And that is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoyevsky. The protagonist is a young, intelligent but impoverished student who has some interesting theories he'd like to test out by committing the murder of a family he doesn't think deserve to live. But if that sounds just a bit too dark for you and you want some crime, then how have you not read Sherlock Holmes? If you enjoy a contemporary crime novel or TV show, then I don't know what you've been up to if you haven't been reading Sherlock Holmes. And if you love BBC's Sherlock and you still haven't read these books, well, given that the stories of Sherlock Holmes are a bit of a minefield themselves in quantity, get yourself a little bind-up. For those who like the sound of a little bit of darkness, we have a bind-up collected together by David Stuart Davies called The Dark Mysteries of Sherlock Holmes, but for the rest of you, there's always the best of Sherlock Holmes. Now, I could stand here for hours and keep recommending you classics, but if you've got a favourite classic work, then leave it in the comments down below for everybody to have a look at. And if nothing in this video sounded like your cup of tea, then let me know what kind of thing you like to read, and I'll try and give you a recommendation in the comments. But before you go, don't forget to give this video a little thumbs up and enjoy your classics adventure. If the spark doesn't come, that's a pity. But we do not read the classics out of duty or respect, but only out of love. So last week we had the Sir Tony Robinson in this building signing copies of his new autobiography, No Cunning Plan.
Actually, this is the third time. She's messed it up twice. Just pretending it's the first time.
Tell them the secrets, they think I'm so smooth at this.